Hey everybody, it is Brian, your horsefly in the boardroom. Welcome to another episode of The Buzz, where we try to separate the truth from the hype in the workplace. If you are new to my channel, I post a new one of these episodes every Tuesday and every Thursday. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel down below. Today we are going to talk about whether or not you are working in a transactional work environment or a relational work environment. And I'll start by saying, it makes a difference because on the transactional side, although it's fine, it really is not something that encourages engagement and makes you feel satisfied in your job, makes you feel like you have some place to grow. Relational is certainly much more that way. So the question is, well, how do you tell that you're one or the other? One of the easy ways for me to tell is when somebody comes to me and says, well, I feel like I'm just a number at work, that they don't really know who I am. They don't really know what I can bring to the workforce. I feel like I come in, I do my job, I go home, and that's the end of that. And there's certainly truth that that can be a good indication that it's just a transactional workforce. Not exactly what we all want, right? We want something a little bit more than that. I've spent a lot of time in human resources, and I've seen the titles change over the years in the human resource department as they've tried to say what exactly that department is supposed to be responsible for. If you go back to the early days, honestly, way before I was born, it was called the personnel department. Which feels very cold and unfeeling, but that's what it used to be known as. And that was a very transactional sort of department. Their role was really data entry and managing the rules by which employment was supposed to be kept. And maybe that's what your human resource department looks like today. Some of the more modern human resource departments have actually transitioned away from human resources. For a brief time, I saw like human capital come into vogue. Not a fan of human capital. That sounds also a lot like they're treating you like a piece of machinery, a piece of capital that can be acquired and then depreciated and written off. The newer departments are really going to, people department, people in development, things like that, that imply that it's not just about hiring an individual, measuring the rules, and then getting rid of them when the time comes, but providing them with something more, more of a career, more of a relationship. A couple of episodes ago, we talked about servant leadership, and that would certainly fit in with that style a lot more. So if you think about some of the other ways that you can tell that you're in a transactional business, is if they are mainly measuring you by output sort of transaction metrics. So for example, if they're measuring your ROI, your turnover rates, your cost to the company, your output per hour, those sorts of things, those are all transactional. Those are not necessarily bad. We do actually have to measure how good we are at putting out a product or meeting an expectation by customers. But if that's where it ends, that's where it's an indication that it's transactional. Because some of the other things that you might expect to see would be things like, well, how well do I work together in a team? How well do I meet the customer demands? If my company has values, how well do I do in living up to those values? Those are where you start to tell, okay, those are more relational measures. So maybe that's more of a relationship-oriented company than just transaction. Same thing could be said about benefits, right? If your benefits are strictly, I pay you a compensation and a bonus based off of strict company performance, those are transactional sorts of things, and they're not really relational things. Again, leaving out the teamwork aspects and how well I work to make the team and the project team better. Same sort of thing about like fringe benefits. Do you get fringe benefits or do you not? Are you only getting the bare minimum benefits and you don't get things for like mental health, physical health, that sort of thing? Very transactional sort of relationship. And the way then that plays into the workplace culture is it's really a focus on performance dashboards. They'll put dashboards out everywhere so everybody can see them, because the idea is that, this is the way that we can motivate our high performers. Unfortunately, it also can create unhealthy competition, fear of surveillance, and just reduced psychological safety and well-being. And if your manager is not investing in you emotionally, and I hate to say just emotionally, but it's really about building that relationship and figuring out how they can help you succeed and what they need to do for your development and that sort of thing, they're really missing out on a lot of efficiency, and it results in lower trust and weaker loyalty, a lot higher burnout. So you may be asking yourself, well, what do I do about it if I work for a place that's just treating me as numbers? And you can certainly work with your manager and point out some of these things, let them know what it is that you need in order to feel engaged and to move forward in the company. Or quite frankly, at some point, you may just have to decide that if this is the way that the entire company is, or in other words, it's not just my manager, the company itself is this way, you may need to decide that this company isn't for me because their values don't align with my values. What I'm looking for out of this relationship is not what I'm going to get out of the relationship. And you'll notice that I keep going back to this idea of relationship and relational, because in a lot of ways, that's what it is. The company looks for something, they need something, and in order to get it, they're willing to provide you something. And you are looking for something, you need something out of the relationship, and in order to get that, you're willing to provide something. And so it's a little bit of a dance where you come to an agreement and you say, yes, I like what the company is offering and what they can provide for me, and I know that I can provide this for them, and so I get hired by them, and so now we're in this relationship where it's a symbiotic relationship. Not all companies operate that way, and if you find yourself in a bad situation and it looks that way from top to bottom, you may just need to decide that it's time for you to look for somewhere else. There are plenty of forward-looking companies out there that want to treat their employees well. So I hope that's helpful. Good luck to you, and I look forward to seeing you at our next episode.